Okay, it's time for my weekly video. Alright. I am going to be sharing with you the struggles that I've had with Lizzo's mites. I created a post about this. I'm still wearing the beautiful jewelry that way. And I've been dealing with them for the past several years. Before that, it was the Jesuit yeast. And it's like the germ attacks never end. And these are all genetically engineered germs. I want to share, you're going to hear some I have the windows open right now because I've been smelling cigarette smoke today and I don't like that smell. And I think she's got smoking bed bugs or something inside the walls or in the AC vents because it seems like the smoke's coming from the AC vents. So, yeah, it's like, and I just finished a course of antibiotics. So let me just go ahead and I'm going to read you a post that I wrote at my website. And I've been working on this for several days. And yeah, I just finished a course of antibiotics. My tongue is still green. You say, what's that for? Yeah, let me read you the post. It's kind of, I'm making this post to help dentists and medical professionals in dealing with patients who are infected with mites. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people are. So, and let me just go ahead and start reading here. Okay. I show a photo on this post where you can see how my tongue looks first thing in the morning after being on antibiotic treatment. This is before eating any food that could stain the tongue. I always go to bed with a clean mouth after brushing and flossing, including brushing my tongue. I will admit I just drank some milk chocolate, okay? But but what you're seeing there is not, I just brushed my teeth and my tongue. What you're seeing there now is what my tongue looks like now after antibiotic treatment. And I'll explain to you my theories on why I think my tongue looks that way. Keep in mind that when you're looking at me, this is my left side, okay? For me, this is my left side, and this is my right side. On this side is where the dentist did a root canal, and this side has been swollen. Let me see if we can you can't see it real good, but the gum tissue in there has been swollen. It improved slightly with antibiotic treatment, but it hasn't totally gone away, okay? It may take a while. On this side, towards the back, is a sensitive molar with holes deep enough to have exposed root. I'm not a doctor, but I'm highly intelligent, and I offer this page to assist, I created a page and also this video, to assist physicians and dentists who are treating people infected with Lizzo's genetically engineered mites. Amoxicillin is what I was on. I was on 7 days worth of amoxicillin. Does seem to work, but if the patient has allergies, they need to be on medicine for allergies during treatment. I'm on Zyrtec. Also, it's important to drink a lot of water and do the Gail commandments. So I just finished on Wednesday, that would have been 2 days ago, I just finished a 7-day course of amoxicillin, 500 milligrams, 3 times a day. Starting, today, about 5 days, when I would say about my 4th or 5th day of treatment on amoxicillin, my lower bowels felt burny, probably caused by mite die-off filled with my allergens and acid. And my lymph nodes, especially in extremities like fingers and ankles, are more swollen than usual. Let me see if I can show you. I don't know if you can see this. Right there is a swelling. I've had problems with that for a while. I also have swelling on, let me see if I can show you, on, I'm like a ballerina here. Oh, I have to go this way, don't I? Right there. See that lymph node? Right there. Okay? Yeah. It's worse than usual. I have a swelling on the other foot that's the same. Okay? It's a little bit, yeah, it's like, it looks a lot like that. Okay? So, usually when you have swollen lymph nodes, it means you have an infection. The infection that I have is mites, okay? Okay, so my lymph nodes, especially in extremities like fingers and ankles, are more swollen than usual. Also, nerve tissue all over my body, especially in the head area and around or in my teeth, are more sensitive and seem more inflamed than previously. Now, I wrote this on Wednesday, okay? So I'm reading you what I wrote on Wednesday. Like, I've got a sensitive molar on my right side with holes caused by my former Jesuit yeast infection. That would have been Candida auris. And the holes in that molar have worsened with Lizzo's mites eating away at my bone the past 2 years. If you look at my tongue, and if you go to this web page I created, you can see pictures I took of it. You can see that it is swollen a bit on my left side. Let me see if that's getting better. It's getting a little better, but it's 10. Yeah, let me just keep going. The mites love the left side of my mouth where it appears they've been camping out for the past 2 years or so. This is the side where the dentist did a root canal and put in a new crown. Right after that root canal treatment in May 2023, the entire left side of my tongue swelled up as the mites escaped to a new location after being chased out by antiseptic in the root from the root canal procedure. That was in May, around May the 1st. I remember that. I had a very sore, swollen left tongue right after the root canal, and that's because, just like I explained. In the last 3 days or so, a molar on my right side with deep mite holes has gotten more sensitive. You have to realize, it does appear like, well, now what's interesting about this molar is that it's more sensitive at night than in the morning, which I find strange. I think it's because my husband is building bone in that tooth, and then the mites eat away, and he works on it a lot when I'm sleeping. Maybe it's because I'm still and he can do surgery remotely. Like, I think he's doing bone grafts and stuff in there. He's working with the dentist. But during the day, when I'm moving around and he can't do surgery, I guess, it gets worse. Yeah, it's like Lizzo is just so stubborn. Okay, yeah. You see, look at this, the front teeth here. You see all that wear? That was from a yeast eating away at my teeth. Mineral loss in my teeth because the yeast, that was damage from the yeast. And also mites. I think the mites are like cannibals. I think they literally eat bone. Right after that okay, so in the last 3 days or so, a molar on my right side with deep mite holes has gotten more sensitive. You have to realize that this mite infection is systemic. It's all over my body, but then it seems to come and go depending on how the mites are behaving. According to the dentist, because I mentioned this to him, to her. I went to see a female dentist who works with my dentist. He's got a team in there. They're all nice, though. I can tell they're not Lizzo Jesuits. They're living on Church of Gail, okay? We're protecting them. Some of those mite holes have exposed root, according to the dentist. Now I would say caused by the mites eating away at my teeth. It's no wonder that molar on my right side toward the back is so sensitive. There's exposed root. Yeah, okay? No, the holes are not caused by bruxism. I don't know if you can see them. I've got terrible wear on my teeth. It's because I've been attacked by all these genetically engineered germs. You can't see it in the camera. I'm not going to worry about it. I'll just take my word for it. Believe me. The holes are too tiny, deep, and narrow for that. In other words, they're only like a millimeter across, and then they're like 4 millimeters down. I mean, it's just it's obvious that there is something eating away at my teeth. Okay, yeah, and absorbing all the minerals in my teeth. Okay, what appears to be happening is that the mites have been killed by amoxicillin, and they are escaping to extremities and to nervous tissue to get away from the antibiotic in my blood when I had it in my blood. Okay, they seem extremely intelligent and seem to know how to cause maximum damage to my body in areas where my body is most vulnerable to them, which leads me to suspect that Lizzo is orchestrating their movements and behavior somehow, almost like she controls their movements and behavior so that they cause maximum damage to my body like how she wants. Previous to antibiotic treatment, I had the antibiotic treatment from November 1st to November 8th, so today's November 10th. I often suffered, this is before I got on the treatment, what I was dealing with chronically, okay, and this was for like the past 2 years, was mite, bloating, and gas in the abdomen, so that I often looked pregnant, and very sensitive teeth as the mites were eating away at my bones. I also suffered from swollen lymph nodes in my extremities. They're a little worse than usual right now. Brent, my doctor husband, seemed to be working with my dentist, and nobody has talked to me. I've told my men about this post I created. Nobody has said anything to me about this post. I'm just getting no response whatsoever. This doesn't mean they just. Basically, what I've been doing is giving them my guesses or theories on what I think the mites are doing based on using my own logic and intelligence, and I'm highly intelligent, and and the medical and science knowledge that I already have. I studied almost pre-med when I was at Florida State University, okay? And I was in nursing school for a while. So I've taken a lot of medical sciences, so that kind of helps me in figuring things out. So let me go from there. But nobody has really discussed any of this with me. These are conclusions that I've come to on my own. Okay, so here's these are my guesses. So it seemed like my doctor husband, Brent, was working with my dentist to deal with the damage caused by the mites and to get them out of my body, yes. The mites worsened the bad recession. I have got horrible recession. Look at this. See that? That's all root, exposed root. Now, amazingly, that's not as sensitive as the one back here. I don't get it, okay? I don't get it, but I've been talking to my dentist, Brandon. Brandon says, do I have exposed pulp? He's saying, no, it's not that bad. If I had exposed pulp, he'd probably have to extract the tooth. Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's what I think he'd have to do. So fortunately, it doesn't appear we're at that point yet. And I don't want it to get there either. Okay. So the mites worsened the bad recession and bone loss I already had in my teeth from the Jesuit yeast. All this bone loss. This is from the yeast infection the Jesuits have given me. Basically, I've been dealing with Jesuit yeast since my 20s. Okay? I've always had problems with holes in my teeth. The Jesuits have been attacking me relentlessly. I'm 66 now, okay? So I've been dealing with Jesuit yeast for the past 30 years, at least, maybe 35. Okay, this seems to be improving some, and then I got over the yeast infection. I would say about 2020, completely, and then from that point forward, I've been dealing with mites. Okay, you say, why did the Jesuits choose mites? Well, I get Zach Knight's antibiotic semen on a regular basis now, and his antibiotic semen also deals with yeast. Plus, the Seroquel deals with yeast. So the Jesuits have decided to create mites, which seem to be immune to Zach's antibiotic semen because they're not really germs. They're in the what they call it, arthropod family. And yeah, it's like they keep coming up with all these inventions. They're horrible. It's like, don't they have anything better to do than gloat in being evil? So let me continue. So the mites worsened the bad recession and bone loss I already had in my teeth from the Jesuit yeast infection. I had a Jesuit yeast infection, systemic in my body. I would say it kind of went, I don't know when it turned systemic, but it's been, I've been dealing with Jesuit yeast for like the past 30 years until about 2020. This seemed to be improving somewhat with antibiotic treatment. Yes, I have noticed some bone being rebuilt in parts of my mouth with antibiotic treatment. Also, when I was at the dental office, they showed me an x-ray of my root, where they did the root canal, and some bone is coming back there, okay? Because we're making progress with the mites. But it's amazing that the Jesuits haven't killed me yet, so let's keep going. Okay. I have also suffered from mite-caused nerve tissue inflammation. The mites also have caused my skin to be dry and itchy, worsening wrinkles and aging in the skin. Yeah, I'm noticing it everywhere. You say, well, yeah, I am in a colder climate in the winter, but it's very humid here in the summer. And I do believe that and I also do facelift exercises. I do believe that a lot of the aging in my skin, you might say, you look great for your age. Well, I've never smoked, I've never drank, I live a very healthy lifestyle, okay? And then when I was on Seroquel actually made me look younger. And Lizzo just seems to be trying to reverse that. She is such a petty person, she has nothing better to do than to be competitive with somebody who's superior to her, okay? That's it, simply. She's a lowlife all the way. So let's continue. So yes, but I'm just going to tell you that if you are noticing that your skin is dry and itchy, and your wrinkles are worsening, and the aging in your skin has accelerated, you could very well be dealing with mites, especially if the acceleration seems a little fast, like in the past 2 years. It appears their poop could be some sort of astringent. I really believe that. And I'm not sure if this is mite related, but I seem to have gained an extra 5 pounds in the past year or so, since I've been tormented with the mites. I imagine all the inflammation in my body could cause some weight gain. Now, what's interesting is that I seem to have lost a couple pounds after being on antibiotic treatment, and my diet is the same as it was before. Another symptom I've noticed has been a feeling that some gluey substance coats my eyes, causing my vision to be fuzzy, requiring me to use a magnifying glass to read small print. Sometimes when I blink my eyes and remove the coating by blinking, the vision improves. I'm not sure whether that's the semen pollen or the mites. Maybe mite poop is gooey or something. I also suffer from urinary frequency. This is nothing new with me, but it seems like it's getting a little worse in the past couple years. Probably caused by mite allergens and irritants being filtered from the blood into the urine, making the urine nasty to the bladder, irritating my bladder. That would give you a feeling like you have to go all the time. I also suffer from a mild case of irritable bowel, okay? And sometimes the stool is hard, sometimes it's soft, but I rarely get full-blown diarrhea. I've noticed that I poop more often than I used to. Perhaps all the gas that the mites are causing from the irritable bowel is making me feel like I gotta go. I have constant post-nasal drip, and I'm not sure if that's a mite problem. It could be just allergy. Sometimes I get an attack in my throat by the mites, and you've noticed this on some of my videos, where they target a part of my throat and I get a nasty cough spasm out of the blue from their poop and irritants as they gather in parts of my throat. I never have a fever though, okay? My body temperature has always been lower than most people. Yeah, it's usually around 97. The mites don't cause fever. Another symptom I've experienced is loss. This is in the past couple years, and this is ironic because I'm a big walker and I go up and down stairs a lot to exercise. is loss of muscular strength. So that even when you exercise those muscles, like your leg muscles, for instance, it's harder to do activities that require strong muscles, like lifting yourself off of the floor when you've gone all the way down to the bottom. That is really hard for me now. And in Florida, I didn't have a problem with this. You might say, well, you're getting older. Yeah, but the amount of exercising that I'm doing, it shouldn't be this pronounced. Plus, I've had some of my younger friends tell me they're noticing this in themselves too. Okay? So I'm not the only one. I think the mites have something to do with this. I think maybe they eat muscle cells. Yeah. It's harder to do activities that require strong muscles, like lifting yourself off the floor after you've knelt all the way down to the floor. So I do think mites eat muscle tissue. The mite's affinity for nerve tissue has caused swelling in my left wrist median nerve. That's a nerve that kind of goes right, and look how small my wrists are too, okay? Right here, okay? In my left hand, this is my writing hand, which has worsened I believe I have a mild case of carpal tunnel syndrome, causing my fingers to cramp up as I try to write. Let me see if I can give you an illustration here. I've had this problem a long time. A long time. Like, if I write, it's very difficult for me to write like a normal person. Like here, this is like I usually end up going like this. Like here we are. Yeah, this finger doesn't seem to want to work right, and I can't write fast. Actually, I've had this problem for a while. Having a small wrist, I think there's a nerve that goes right through the center here, and I think mine is swollen. And for that reason, I can't write fast. This was a real problem. I actually think the yeast started it, okay? They caused inflammation, and now the mites do it. It's probably a combination of allergic inflammation and who knows what. The Jesuits are really good at giving people inflammation, I can tell you that right now, or at least this particular person. So, yeah, they're really good at that. So yes, it's worsened. I think it's carpal tunnel syndrome, causing my fingers to cramp up as I try to write. I've had a problem with this median nerve swelling since about 2002, and it comes and goes depending on how swollen the median nerve is that travels through my arm and wrist, okay? Mostly for me, it mostly affects the forefinger, so I don't think I have a bad case. But but it's bad enough that I can't write really good, like a normal person. But within the past year, the median nerve has been constantly swollen, and my left hand's fingers, especially the forefinger, curl up and they don't work. It doesn't work right. Thus far, it has not affected my ability to type. It mainly causes problems with use of my left hand's forefinger, which is important for handwriting. So because of the carpal tunnel, I can only handwrite very slowly. The left hand's forefinger dysfunction actually went away from about 2013 to 2019 when I was cured of my yeast infection on Seroquel. But I've had a relapse after being infected with mites from about 2020 forward. It's gotten worse since being infected with Lizzo's mites, which are worse than Lori McBride's mites were. Now, Lori McBride, when she was bad, started this mite business, and Lizzo has improved on what Lori did with the mites. So because I'm small-boned and have a tiny wrist, that doesn't help, okay? So the nerve there doesn't have much, it's going to be cramped up in there. Another weird symptom is that I cannot wear a watch. Yep, I can't wear a watch, because the mites seem attracted to the metal backing, of the watch. Yeah. So, and that metal backing to the watch causes my skin to itch from the mites attracted to the metal. So if I want to see what time it is, like when I'm outside, I leave the watch in a clear pocket in my fanny pack so that I can see the time. I have a fanny pack with a clear pocket. Also, it seems I have a lot of wear around the teeth that surround my gold crown. See that gold crown back there? Okay. With one molar adjacent to the gold crown that already had a deep hole in it from the yeast, that hole is the one that is super sensitive right now. I mean, it really is sensitive. And it's right, that hole is right next to the gold crown. So I think I'm onto something here. It does appear that these mites are attracted to or eat metals. I have a theory on why Lizzo would create mites that eat metal, and I think it's that they are some type of conductors to enhance her brain control signals in the body. Metal would probably amplify her brain control signals, making them more powerful, enabling Lizzo to do stronger brain control on her victims. For this reason, I try not to wear too many metals, especially near the brain, or to at least not wear them all day. Though this, my beautiful jewel, this isn't a lot of metal, you know. But I don't wear these multi-million-dollar rings when I go outside. That's tempting fate, especially with Lizzo Jesuits everywhere. I mean, yeah, I just wear it for my videos here. I even wear a smaller metal clip. Sometimes I wear a clip up there when I go outside, to hold my hair. And I've noticed I seem to do better against Lizzo's satellite signals, like when I'm riding the bus, when I don't have a large metal clip on my head. This is speculation and I could be off. Jesus once instructed me to wear a tinfoil hat, okay? And when I did so, it did seem to help a bit. When I do that now, it does seem to help with the brain control. I think the aluminum foil acts as a deflector by absorbing the satellite signals and preventing them from entering the brain. Whereas a metal clip would attract the mites to the area of the clip, and therefore the mites could line up like an electrical cord and help Lizzo control brain signals, and Lizzo would then program the mites to line up and help her direct her signals where she wants. These mites are far too intelligent to be operating solely of their own volition. Lizzo is definitely programming them, and they seem to enhance her ability to do brain control, which is why they have metals in them, and probably explains their affinity for nerve tissue. Brain control, nerve tissue, get it? Causing nerve tissue inflammation, like here with the carpal tunnel. I did notice that when I eat iron-rich foods, I seem to make these mites happy. This is not to say that we should avoid iron-rich foods, but it's an interesting observation. The metallic mites near nerve tissue enhance Lizzo's ability to do brain control. It's also possible she has different types of mites for different purposes. The calcium bone eater mites are there to destroy bone, okay? The nerve metallic mites are there to assist Lizzo with brain control. Other mites may specialize in eating muscle to weaken muscles. In fact, the mites may play a crucial role in how Lizzo is able to use music, sound waves infested with metallic mites, to enhance brain control. Sound waves act as ships to carry Lizzo's mite phone line of signals. I'm certain the sound waves are infused with metallic mites that are programmed to do Lizzo's bidding via her thoughts. Flutes, she has a flute, are usually made of metal. So when Lizzo plays her metal flute, the mites in the atmosphere saturate the sound waves going to Lizzo's target. Lizzo can actually direct her electronic brain signals going through her metal flute to work in sync with metal mites in the air, saturating the sound waves from her music, causing the sound waves to become conductors of her brain signals and thoughts. Her thoughts literally become commands working with metal mites inside the target. It's almost like Lizzo uses mites in the atmosphere in combination with mites in the target's body to create a phone line from Lizzo's brain, where she gives out her commands, to her target, where her brain signal commands can travel and do her bidding. thoughts are actually electricity in the body. Okay, I know all this from studying medical science. They travel through the electrical nervous system. Lizzo needs her metal mites to be in the brain, to be the brain control monster that she is. We may be able to use magnets to mess up her brain control by causing the metal mites in the air to go to the magnets and kind of ruin her phone line, okay? And mess up Lizzo's sound wave signals to the brains of her targets. That would be like scrambling her phone line so that it doesn't work. In fact, I've noticed very strong electricity. She's making stuff loose in my mouth right now. Very strong electricity flowing through my body in the past year, to the point that if I touch a doorknob or even try to turn on a light switch, I will get a shock in my hand, a very strong shock. It's almost painful by merely touching anything with any metal in or near it. So my theory that metal mites are creating a phone line for Lizzo, her thoughts going to our brains, her commander thoughts going to our brains and directing them, is probably right on target. This phone line that Lizzo creates using metal mites may also enhance her ability to use her brain signals, where she not only programs us, okay, using her commander thoughts, but I think she can program the mites in that phone line to do her bidding, and that's how she can get them to create like a phone line where she can send her commands, like, through the mites right to our brains. The reason phones are dangerous to me and Brent and my men is that Lizzo is obsessed with me and my men and can work with mites in our bodies to obey her brain signals through phones that absorb her thought electricity. Okay? Thoughts are actually created by electrical currents, okay? Electrical energy. And work with metallic mites that exist near the ear. So there's these mites flying around in the air, okay, or in the air, and which is near the brain. So Lizzo can literally use her thoughts to command signals and command brain signals, creating commander brain signals that work in sync with metallic mites floating in the air. So they line up and create like a line, and then they'll go right to our brain, okay? And that's why the signals are so strong. The satellite signals are being enhanced by flowing through mites that are like lining up and creating like a telephone line where she can just zap her signals right to our brain. That's what I think she's doing. You say, why don't we see it? She may be playing around with dimensions so that we don't see it. But besides, we're dealing with microscopic creatures too, okay? We probably need telescope eyes to see them. She creates a phone line using metallic mites to force her thoughts and desires into her targets. The signals flowing from her brain to her targets through a phone line of metal mites from her brain to the target's brain. This is why some or all of the mites are made of metal, and some of them eat metal, and why they're attracted to metal. It also appears these mites are shape shifters and can change to different forms depending on their purpose. So one minute it could be a metal mite, another minute a bone eater mite, another minute a muscle eater mite. They may change forms. How is she getting all this stuff in my mouth? They may change forms in different dimensions so that we never figure this stuff out. Lizzo seems a master at multi-dimensional warfare. The metallic mites probably play a prominent role in interfering in any technology run on electricity, especially technology that uses signals a lot, like phones, cameras. Most cameras today are set up to work with Wi-Fi, a perfect setup for Lizzo to do her bidding. That's why Buddha told me not to. Probably one of the reasons Buddha told me I can't get a new camera, because my camera's kind of gone. My camera for my walk videos has kind of gone bad, but the audio's working. Our own magnetic force. I was thinking we could use magnets in the air to like if the mites flying this way, it would go right to our magnet, and we could really mess up her signals. Yeah, it could absorb the mites or at least scramble their ability to act as a phone line for Lizzo, and then we could destroy them or at least mess up Lizzo's signals so that they can't form a phone line from her thoughts to her targets. Like I said, I'm guessing on this and I could be wrong, okay? But there's definitely something going on with these. I think I'm close. Even better, we could jam her signals with our own thoughts. Apparently, the reason Lizzo can't brain control automatons, that's our human equivalents, like we made a bunch of automatons of all those doctors that Lizzo brain controlled me into killing, okay? Can't brain control automatons is because they're made of so much metal, the metal in them absorbs her signals and messes them up, almost acting like magnets or tinfoil hats, you know. We could create metallic shields made of our own programmed mites that interfere with Lizzo's programmed mites. The possibilities are endless. It would be fun to jam her signals or impose our own thoughts into her phone line and send them to Lizzo and or her Jesuits. Perhaps you shouldn't talk about this. You know, just because I say this doesn't mean my men are going to do it, okay? Like I said, these are my ideas and they might be dumb. Perhaps we could make cannibal metal mites that eat her mites. This would only work, though, if our cannibal mites are programmed to jam her signals. If we don't program them to jam her signals, they would only enhance Lizzo's ability to do brain control by putting more metal in the air to be a phone line for her. It also appears that mites like to eat new bone or bone tissue that has regenerated after bone damage. And this may explain why they seem to have an affinity to parts of the body they have already camped out in, and why these areas never seem to get better, but are continually inflamed and attacked by the mites, even after antibiotic treatment. Yeah, I'm still dealing with it. I showed you some of the inflammation. This may explain why they love my teeth, because there is considerable bone loss there and also bone regeneration, and they are attracted to new bone tissue. Apparently, new bone tissue is easier to eat. Oh, I tell you, the stuff she thinks of. Another interesting symptom I have, which actually started with the yeast from about 2004 and forward, is that when I eat and my gallbladder releases bile for digestion, something from the bile, which goes into my small intestines, when you eat something in your stomach, the next stop is the small intestines, okay? And the liver produces bile to assist with digesting fatty foods, okay? Something from the bile in my small intestines helping to digest my food actually enters my bloodstream, causing nasal, postnasal drip, which indicates that there are allergens in the bile entering my bloodstream, causing an allergic reaction as the bile-infused blood gets to my sinus area. Obviously, not all the bile enters the bloodstream during digestion, but something from the bile is being absorbed into my blood during digestion. Yeah, because the bile is going into the small intestine. The small intestine absorbs. Those mites are acting up or something in it. Water. That nasty Lizzo, I'm telling you. I'm smelling the cigarette smoke too. She doesn't like this video I'm making. God, this woman she's a monster. She is a literal monster, okay? Anybody who would invent stuff like this is a monster. Okay, so the bile has, lately my bile, the bile goes into the small intestine, okay? That's the next stop after the stomach. It helps with digestion. And obviously anything that's going to go into the small intestine, some of it is going to be absorbed into the blood. And that includes bile, okay? Yeah. So the fact that I get nasal, postnasal drip, okay? indicates there are allergens in the bile entering my bloodstream, causing an allergic reaction as the bile-infused blood gets to my sinus area. You say, how in the world would if you eat, would it affect your sinus? Okay, your stomach is down here. The liver's on top of the stomach. Okay, the bile goes into the small intestines. In the small intestines, these intestines put nutrients and stuff that they absorb from the food into the blood. They have like little villi that absorb nutrients from the food, okay? And it gets into your blood, okay, like calcium, magnesium. Unfortunately, it will absorb like medications or if and some of the substances in the bile, including allergens, yes. So like, yeah, so that's what's going on. So whenever I eat, so something from the bile is being absorbed into my blood during digestion, which is causing me to get postnasal drip, okay? Whenever I eat oily foods and my bile is loaded with allergens, you may say, how is bile produced? Well, the liver filters the blood that flows through it, okay? So if your blood is filled with allergens, the liver is going to try to filter that out because the liver is the purifier of the body. So, and unfortunately, if the liver becomes saturated with toxins or allergens or whatever, some of that is going to go into the bile because the liver makes the bile, okay? I don't know if I'm making any sense, but yeah. Liver creates bile. If the liver is saturated with allergens, it's going to affect the bile and cause the bile to have allergens in it. Yeah. So that's what's going on. All right, so lately my bile has been full of stuff that makes my nose run. I tried to explain how that works. I can tell when parts of the bile enter my bloodstream as an oily food is being digested in my small intestines. This bile symptom gets worse when the mites are acting up and causing a lot of inflammation in my body. The bile symptom is that right after I eat, my nose starts running. You say, that means you're allergic to the food. It could mean that, or it could mean I'm allergic to something in the bile. Jesus told me I don't have food allergies. He said the only food allergy you have is you've got a slight allergy to shellfish, okay? So you can't blame it on food allergies. It's some allergen in the bile is the culprit, okay? I've just learned to expect a runny nose often whenever I eat anything that has oil or fat in it because I know it's coming from the bile, okay? The body needs to use bile to digest fat. It's just a fact. It's part of digestion. It isn't that irritating, but it does seem to indicate that my blood is being infused with some sort of allergen while I eat an oily food or food with fat in it. Obviously, the allergen is coming from the bile, and the liver is getting the allergen from filtering the blood, which means the allergen is there's a lot of it in my blood, okay? That's what it means. Okay. So bile is made by the liver. The liver is the detoxifier of the body. So if this bile is loaded with allergens or toxins, the bile is getting it from the blood, which is flowing through the liver to be purified. The liver then releases some of this toxicity into the bile. This would seem to indicate that the liver is full of something that gets into the bile and causes the bile to become an irritant during digestion, so that the irritant from the bile actually enters the bloodstream during digestion, being absorbed from the small intestine, causing a system-wide reaction. Sometimes when the bile is especially infested with the allergen or irritant, I don't know what it is, I'm assuming it's an allergen, it will cause my bowels to be bloated. Okay, obviously, if bile is going into the small intestine, not all of it is going to be absorbed into our blood, okay? Because that's just the way digestion works, okay? A lot of the bile is going to end up going to my colon, to the large intestine, which is the next stop after the small intestine, okay? What will happen is if the bile is especially infested with this allergen or irritant, it will cause my bowels to be bloated with the contaminated bile with the food eaten when that food reaches my large intestine during digestion. I often am bloated on days when my allergies are acting up due to a combination of infested bile and swallowed post-nasal drip with allergens in it. I'm not gonna blame it all on the bile. I'm sure allergens in the atmosphere are not helping. The bile could also be picking up allergens from inhaled allergens getting into the blood from the lungs. Oh yeah, the lungs absorb stuff into the blood too. Yeah. The mites could be the mites that are swimming around in my bloodstream to travel through my body, could also be adding to the problem by their poop getting into my blood from the mite infected cells. I think their poop is green too, which explains my green tongue. Oh my God. Okay. The mites, when they die, seem to release or explode a green liquid, acidic and caustic, possibly also allergenic. And because they are flocking to my head to avoid the antibiotic in my gut and are dying and exploding literally in my tongue tissue, this explains the green tongue coating, okay? I wouldn't be surprised if these genetically engineered mites are also filled with my allergens, okay? I'm also on Zyrtec, which Brent prescribed for me back in May 2023. If not for Zyrtec, I think it would have been very possible that I would not have been able to endure the 7-day course of amoxicillin. The mite die-off would have just overwhelmed me. When I had a Jesuit yeast infection with Candida auris, before Jesus put me on Seroquel, this was before 2012, killing the yeast did no good, because this Jesuit yeast, when they exploded, would create more yeast food for any remaining yeast in the vicinity. These are the monstrosities the Jesuits create. With the mites, it appears, when they explode, they also create mite food, but they seem to multiply by sexual reproduction and need another live mite nearby in order to reproduce, or at least one that's making sperm, okay, that the female mite can get into her eggs. So killing them can be an effective way to get rid of them. But it's never a piece of cake to kill a Jesuit-engineered organism. Jesuits make sure of that. They create these organisms to be resilient and deadly. The weather has been very warm here for this time of the year. In fact, several days ago, on November the 8th, I wore shorts for my walk. That's how warm it was. Lizzo is probably doing this so that any mites she puts in the air won't die because of freezing weather. She's concerned that the antibiotic has killed so many of the mites in me that she has decided she needs to flood me with more of them to make up, okay? That's what I think she's doing. Amoxicillin did appear to work on Lizzo's mites in me for now. And I think they work on the mites for now, unless Lizzo comes up with an amoxicillin-resistant mite. God forbid, but she might, okay? But you do need to drink a lot of water to deal with the mite die-off if you're infected with them. Also, be prepared for the mite rebound reaction, which is what I'm experiencing right now. The surviving mites will go to areas of the body where they feel they can survive, possibly where there are already a lot of mites, so that they can bury themselves among large numbers and survive the antibiotic onslaught against them. The mite rebound reaction that I have suffered has been swollen and sensitive nerve tissue, causing some of my teeth to be more sensitive than they already were. Very sensitive because of exposed nerve tissue caused by the cannibal mites. Swollen lymph nodes, especially in extremities. I showed you that. Worsening of allergies and allergic reactions in the body's tissues because the dead mites release allergens, and I believe they release acid. So this will cause irritated, burny, and inflamed bowels as the mites die, and I have noticed that, as the mites die off in the intestines, releasing their caustic green liquid interiors. I'm also experiencing, it's getting better, but part of the mite die-off reaction was a burny sore throat, which is kind of strange after antibiotics, but it makes sense if it's caused by mite die-off, which is probably filled with allergens and acid. That would definitely give you a burny sore throat. The burning tissue feeling was everywhere in my body. It's gradually getting better. It was in my nerves, my genitals, my bowels, inside my ear canals, my bladder, my throat, my tongue, my gums, everywhere. The mite die-off it's truly systemic, body-wide. The burning tissue feeling in my stomach and esophagus made me slightly nauseated. And sometimes when the mites are attacking my heart muscle, they can cause enough inflammation in the heart muscle that I get arrhythmias. Yeah. Fortunately, that one has been rare. I think Brent really tries to stay on top of my heart, okay? He's always trying to clean out the cells there and everything. Even my eyes have felt burny. That's why, and this was part of the mite die-off reaction. Probably that might explain the coating I'm feeling in my eyes. That's why it's important to drink a lot of water. And then I also got a mild headache that comes and goes, probably from slightly inflamed nervous and brain tissue. I already talked about their affinity for nerve tissue. Crest gum detoxified toothpaste seems to help the tooth sensitivity, which is strange. It works better than Sensodyne. Probably because it's killing mites attacking nerves in my teeth. That's what I think. Unfortunately, this mite problem is more of a medical problem because it's caused by a systemic and body-wide infection of mites than a dental problem. So the solution for me seems to be a combination of medical and dental treatment, and my husband Brent is a brilliant doctor, so I'm in great hands. My current strategy at the end of when I finished my antibiotic treatment is to continue my current diet, which is balanced and healthy, and I love my kefir. That's a probiotic dairy drink loaded with good bacteria, and that will continue. I've been doing that for years. That will not hurt me after antibiotic treatment. I also plan to drink plenty of water. I believe the antibiotic amoxicillin that I was on, I believe it's now turned into a time-release formula, which might explain why my tongue is still green. And so it will continue to work on the mites, even though I won't be taking the amoxicillin anymore after finishing my 7-day course of treatment. Unfortunately, the mites have not been licked. The area the dentist wanted treated by the amoxicillin is still swollen, though it is somewhat improved. These mites are resilient. And it doesn't help that Lizzo keeps adding them to the air through bombs and various methods, including probably cigarette and maybe marijuana smoke. Yeah, I noticed a lot of marijuana, pot-smoking Lizzo Jesuits today. Lizzo is truly the war criminal from hell and is a master at biological warfare. She targets innocence with glee and delights in being evil, while gaslighting you if you accurately assess what she's doing and expose her biological warfare. I'm thinking that there may be a connection between the semen pollen that the Lizzo Jesuits are doing, and the mites. Perhaps the semen pollen is a food or fertilizer for the mites in the atmosphere. I mean, they might eat semen, and therefore enhances her ability to do brain control and multiply the mites. Another possibility is that human semen can impregnate mites. Oh, God forbid. I wouldn't even want to think about that one, but with Lizzo, you got to think of everything. If this is the case, there may be a connection between mites and bedbug humans. We should definitely study the reproductive and eating habits of both bedbug humans and these genetically engineered mites. So I'm making this video as a public service to educate you about this genetically engineered organism, Lizzo's mites, because the mainstream news is not talking about this, and this is probably one of the biggest news items of our time. I think a lot of people are dealing with this. I don't think I'm the only one. So let me just go ahead and get this out. I will have a link underneath this video for the page that I've created for medical and dental professionals to refer to help you as you treat your patients. And if you are not considering the fact that your patients may be infected by mites, you are not doing your job, because I do believe that that is a major medical problem today. Yes. And if you don't know about this, you're not going to be able to do your job as a doctor or dentist.